In this video, I'm going to be talking about the range data type. Ranges represent an immutable sequence of characters. They are commonly used to generate numbers in a specific range and are often used in for loops to iterate over a sequence of numbers. One of the interesting things about ranges is that they generate numbers as they are needed rather than storing them in memory. So if you have a very large range, it doesn't eat up valuable memory. Because they are an iterable object, they do work with any function that takes an iterable object, such as the length function, to see how many numbers are going to be in the range. You can also use the in operator to determine if a specific value is in the range. And since they are numeric in nature, you can use them in something like the sum function, which takes an iterable that contains numeric values and adds them all together and returns the total. So with that, let's look at some examples. I have my range variable over here, and I'm calling my range function. And if I hover over my range function, it's going to tell us right here that it requires the stop number, but it also takes a start and step if I want to use the optional start and step. Now the stop number is non-inclusive, so I'm going to put a 4 in here. And when this generates the numbers, it's only going to generate 0, 1, 2, and 3, since the stop number is non-inclusive. And if I don't include a start or a step, they default to starting at 0, and the step or increment value is set to 1. However, because this does not generate the numbers until they're actually being used, if I try to print this right here, it's not going to print the numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3. It's simply going to print this right here, but it's also going to add in the start number. So when I run this, we'll see that it just outputs range from 0 to 4. So if I actually wanted to be able to see the numbers that this is going to generate, I need to either use a for loop to iterate through them and print each individual number, or I could simply pass this range into a list, which will generate all the numbers then. So I'm going to call the list function and pass it the myRange variable. And when I print this now, it's going to print this list to the terminal. So down here we have the output in a list of 0, 1, 2, and 3. And if I wanted to, I could make this go from 4 to 10 by adding a comma and making the 4 now be the start and adding the 10 to be the end. And this time when I run it, it's going to give me the numbers 4 through 9 in my list, which we have right here. And if I wanted to add a step to say I only want every other number, I could pass in a 2, and now it will simply print out 4, 6, and 8. So we have 4, 6, and 8 in our list here. If I wanted to see how many numbers were going to be generated by my range, I could put my range inside the length function. And when I run that, it's going to output 3, which is what we just got here. And then if I wanted to, I could also use the sum function. And if I run this, we'll get 18. And if we scroll up here, we'll see that 4 plus 6 plus 8 does indeed equal 18. As I mentioned earlier, ranges are often used in conjunction with for loops to iterate over a sequence of numbers. So I just wanted you to have a good idea of how to use ranges, because going forward, when we get to the for loop section, we're going to see a lot of things like for I in range, and we might pass in the length of a list or any other number in here. Like let's say I want to perform something 10 times, I would pass in the range 10. And then if I printed I and ran this, it's going to print out all the numbers from 0 to 9. So that's why I wanted you to have a good idea of how ranges work so that when we get to the for loop section, it's not confusing to you.